A prescription for love. I've known for a while now that I was one of those girls. You know, the ones who are attracted to other girls. Yeah, I thought so. For me, it all started back when I was about 17 years old in a small town called Willow Creek, where everyone seemed to know everyone else's business, especially when it came to love and relationships. Trust me, at the time, I felt as if I was hiding on a deserted island the size of a grain of sand. Anyway, let me introduce myself. My name is Evelyn Hart, and I'm a proud lesbian. Sometimes I wonder if we should have support groups, not to lament being gay or anything, but just to meet new interesting women, especially those who appreciate a solid taco truck as much as I do. But let's not get sidetracked. This story isn't about my quest for love, it's about how my life took an unexpected turn about a month ago at my routine gynecological appointment. On a sunny Tuesday morning, quite the contrast to the gloomy weather of the past week, I walked into the clinic, greeted warmly by the receptionist, whom I realized I'd never bothered to learn the name of. My nerves flickered as I mentioned I was there for my annual checkup with Dr. Ramirez. The waiting room was familiar and equally uncomfortable, leaving me twiddling my thumbs for what felt like an eternity. After what seemed like a century, a nurse appeared and called my name. She led me down a long corridor to the examination room. I stepped inside, greeted by the ever-ominous white walls and bright fluorescent lights. After a cold assessment of my blood pressure, I was instructed to change into a gown. Ah yes, the dreaded gown. Who designs these things? It's as if a cruel joke was played on women everywhere. Soon after, Dr. Ramirez walked in, and I felt my heart race. She was an absolutely radiant presence with rich, dark curls cascading over her shoulder, and a smile that could brighten the darkest of days. She had a certain elegance about her, confident and compassionate, with piercing hazel eyes that seemed to see right through to me. In that moment, I convinced myself that my awkwardness was entirely justified. "Hello, Evelyn. How are you today?" she asked with that practiced cheerfulness that was starting to feel too comforting. Pretty good, I guess," I said, my voice betraying me with an unexpected tremor. "It's your annual checkup, right?" she inquired, pulling up my chart. "Yes," I confirmed, trying not to stare too intently at her beautifully shaped features. "Okay, let's get started. Please lay back for me," she instructed, her voice soothing. As I did, I couldn't help but feel an embarrassing sense of nervous energy swirling in my stomach. She was simply going to conduct an exam, yet my thoughts raced ahead past the path of professionalism to daydreams of shared dinners and soft laughter. "Evelyn, let me know if anything feels uncomfortable," Dr. Ramirez said, her gentle hands beginning the examination. As the cold instruments made contact, I flinched, but beneath that chill, an unexpected warmth spread through me. "Everything's fine, just a bit chilly," I managed to respond, swallowing hard. We exchanged small talk while she continued, and I couldn't help but lose myself in the depths of her hazel eyes. Before I knew it, the exam had shifted from routine to a complicated mix of professionalism, and the undeniable spark that seemed to dance between us. "Okay, all done with that portion," she announced, making a note on my chart. "Now, are you currently sexually active?" My mind went blank as I mentally reshuffled my thoughts like a deck of cards. "Well, no, actually. Just focusing on work and life," I stammered, barely managing a smile. "Gotcha, no worries. But as I see it, you need proper information." "Sorry to ask, it's just part of the routine." "Do you need birth control or anything related?" she encouraged, her demeanor remaining friendly and professional. A million contrasting thoughts collided in my mind. Should I just tell her the truth? "No, my interests lie elsewhere," I finally admitted, my cheeks burning. She paused, looking at me, a hint of surprise dancing in her expression. "How do you mean?" I exhaled slowly, my heart pounding. "I'm into women." To my shock, Dr. Ramirez chuckled lightly, a beautiful sound that resonated in the sterile room. "Well, now I feel a bit silly. Here I was thinking I had to reel you in on birth control and pills you'd never need." She smiled warmly. "But it's great you're being honest with me. Personally, I appreciate openness. I blinked, taken aback. Wait, you're saying you're not straight? It slipped from my mouth before I could filter my excitement. Not in the slightest, she replied, her eyes sparkling. I've been queer for a long time, just didn't expect I'd have such an attractive patient walking in today. The spark in her eyes ignited a fire in me that I didn't think was possible in a doctor's office. Are you serious? I said, my breath catching slightly. Dead serious, she smiled, tucking a wayward curl behind her ear. How about this Friday after work, there's a cute little restaurant just down the block. Feel like trying it with me? I felt as if my heart was going to leap straight out of my chest with joy. Are you kidding me? You're asking me out? Yeah, I guess I am, she laughed lightly before standing up. But first, get dressed. I'll be outside when you're ready. She winked and left the room. As I got dressed, the gravity of my situation hit me. My doctor just asked me out. I felt exhilarated and nervous, teetering on the brink of the unknown. Moments later, I stepped out and received her warm, inviting smile. I guess I'll see you at dinner, I said, mustering all my newfound confidence in the face of my doctor. Absolutely, she replied with an enthusiastic nod. And let's skip the whole you saw mine, I'll show you yours game. I'm much more interested in exploring the world outside of this clinic, starting with you. As she departed with a playful wave, I couldn't help but smile. Who would have thought that a routine checkup could lead to this? I felt like I was headed towards something genuinely special, a prescription for love I never anticipated. As the day of our dinner date approached, I found myself standing in front of my closet for what felt like hours. I yanked out outfits and tossed them onto my bed, each one feeling less suitable than the last. How was I supposed to impress Dr. Ramirez, the stunning woman who had just seen me in all my vulnerable glory? When Friday rolled around, I finally settled on a simple yet chic black dress that complemented my frame and made me feel confident. After a few final touches, some carefully applied makeup and straightening my hair, I headed out, heart racing with anticipation. I arrived at the restaurant, aptly named the Enchanted Table. It resonated with ambience, candles flickered on almost every surface, warm wood tones permeated the air, and the sweet, tantalizing smell of garlic and herbs wafted over me as I stepped inside. It felt like stepping into a scene from a romantic movie, one I had never expected to be starring in. After a moment of scanning the intimate space, I caught sight of her. Dr. Ramirez, Sophia, I reminded myself, was seated at a small corner table, her curls shimmering under the soft lighting, wearing a deep green dress that accentuated her figure perfectly. She was a vision, and my stomach flipped with nerves and excitement all at once. Hey! You made it, she said, her smile radiant as I approached. Of course. I wouldn't miss this for the world, I replied, taking my seat across from her. Through the evening, I felt as if we were in our own little bubble, laughing and sharing stories that felt so genuine. We discovered shared interests, like our mutual love for adventurous hikes and late-night taco runs. Time seemed to evaporate as we spoke, the outside world fading away. Okay, so tell me more about your last hiking trip, she said, leaning forward, her hazel eyes sparkling with curiosity. I need all the details. I couldn't help but blush as I recounted the time I accidentally fell into a creek while trying to get the perfect shot for my Instagram. I thought I'd be a social media queen, and ended up soaking wet, I laughed, recalling how my friends couldn't stop teasing me afterward. That's amazing. But hey, it's how you make the best memories, she replied, tilting her head slightly, her curls shimmering as they swayed. I love that you don't take life too seriously. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, the connection between us felt electric. Before I knew it, we had moved on to dessert, chocolate lava cake that should probably come with a warning label, it was that indulgent. As I took a bite, my gaze slid over to Sophia, who was watching me intently, a playful smile curling her lips. What? Is the cake that good, or is it me? She teased. I laughed, feeling a rush of warmth wash over me. It's both. This cake is heavenly, but I have to admit you have certainly raised the bar. Sophia leaned back, her laughter echoing around our corner of the restaurant. Well, I certainly aimed to impress. As the evening progressed and the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting soft shadows around us, I felt my walls coming down. Hosting gravity of the moment was palpable. Every brush of her hand against the table or flicker of her gaze ignited sparks of electricity that I couldn't ignore. "So, what are you thinking?" she asked, her voice softening as her expression turned sincere. "Are you enjoying yourself?" "Honestly, more than I thought possible," I confessed, feeling vulnerable yet exhilarated. I didn't realize how much I've yearned for this kind of connection. Sophia's face softened, and then she reached across the table, her fingers grazing mine. The simple act sent waves of excitement rushing through me. "Me too. I'm really glad you're here with me tonight." The moment felt significant, like something monumental was blossoming just beneath the surface. "Can I ask you something?" I said, mustering the courage to speak. "Of course," she replied, her eyes locked onto mine, a warmth radiating that felt like home. "Why did you become a gynecologist?" I asked, curious to learn more about the woman who had both treated me and charmed me. She chuckled softly, a hint of nostalgia in her voice. "Honestly, I wanted to create a safe space for women, to help them feel empowered and understood. There's so much stigma around women's health, and I wanted to break through that. Plus, I've always had a personal passion for women's rights." I admired her even more, captivated by her dedication. "That's really inspiring." "Thank you," she said, her expression brightening. "And you? What led you to your career?" As I shared my own story, recounting my love for photography, and how I had built a small business catering to weddings and events, I noticed how Sophia's eyes sparkled with genuine interest. "So you're saying I'll have to let you photograph me one day on a hike?" she asked playfully. "Absolutely. You'll make a beautiful subject," I replied, laughter bubbling between us. The night unfolded in a beautifully choreographed dance of laughter, stories, and shared glances. But as the evening wore on, another weight began to settle over me, the uncertainty of what this meant for us. Was this just a fleeting encounter, or was it the start of something deeper? As the waiter brought the bill, Sophia took a deep breath. "So, I guess this is the part where I should ask what happens next." I paused, my heart pounding. "Yeah, I guess so." What I felt was unlike anything I had dug up in years of relationships, raw, genuine chemistry that wasn't scared of exploring the unknown. "Would you want to go on more adventures together? Hiking, trying new restaurants, whatever crazy idea comes to mind." Sophia's smile was dazzling. "I'd love that," she said earnestly. "But just so we're on the same page, I want to explore what this is between us. You and me. I'm in." Her words sent shivers of delight down my spine. "Count me in, too." We exchanged numbers, promising to set up our first hiking adventure soon, but as we stepped out of the restaurant into the cool evening air, I couldn't shake the feeling of shared understanding between us. As she moved closer, brushing against my arm, I felt the palpable electricity again, stronger this time. "Would it be too forward if I asked for a kiss?" she said playfully, her eyes searching mine. I bit my lip, a grin spreading across my face. "Not at all. It's actually perfect timing." As we leaned in, the kiss was soft, tentative at first, then deepening as we lost ourselves in each other, the world around us fading into insignificance. I felt swept up in an exhilarating moment, one that promised a new beginning for both of us. After parting, Sophia slipped her hand into mine, and together we walked into the night, possibilities unfurling before us like the stars above. What had begun as a routine doctor's visit had transformed into the spark of something unexpectedly beautiful, and I couldn't help but feel that we were just at the start of a remarkable journey together. As the days turned into weeks following that unforgettable dinner date, Sophia and I became inseparable. Our weekends were filled with spontaneous adventures, hikes along the trails near Willow Creek, picnics by the lake, and late-night taco runs that helped fuel our endless conversations about life, dreams, and the idiosyncrasies of our childhoods. Each moment felt woven together with an electric thread, knitting my heart closer to hers. Sometimes, in quiet moments, I would find myself lost in thought, marveling at how quickly my life had changed. Not too long ago, I had been a solitary observer of love stories, and now, I was living in one. One particular Saturday, we decided to explore a nearby canyon known for its breathtaking views. The weather was perfect, sunny with a gentle breeze, ideal for a day of exploration. I strapped on my hiking boots, grabbed my camera, and prepared for yet another adventure with Sophia. As we climbed higher, the air thick with laughter and shared stories, I felt an overwhelming sense of joy. Sophia had encouraged me to take photos along the way, capturing moments like her mischievous grin when she nearly slipped on a loose rock. It was these small, beautiful moments that filled my memories and my heart. "Okay, pause right here," I called out as we reached a particularly stunning overlook, the sun casting golden rays over the vast canyon below. Sophia obliged, posing dramatically with her arms outstretched, her hair dancing in the wind. "Am I majestic enough for your Instagram feed?" she teased, striking another exaggerated pose. I laughed and snapped a picture, fully absorbing how surreal and lovely this all felt. "You're absolutely majestic, and I wouldn't have it any other way." After capturing several shots, Sophia bounded over to look at my camera. "You have such an eye for this, Ev. Your photos really tell a story," she said, genuinely impressed. "It's easy when I've got such a great subject," I replied, feeling my cheeks warm as I stood next to her. We settled down to enjoy the view, laying back on the warm rocks. The tranquility of nature enveloped us, and I found comfort in the ease of our companionship. "Can I ask you something?" Sophia said suddenly, turning to me with a serious expression. "Sure, what's on your mind?" I replied, propping myself up to meet her gaze. She took a breath, brushing a few locks of hair behind her ear. "Do you ever think about what's next for us? I mean, we've been having an amazing time, but it feels like we're dancing around the bigger picture." Her question surprised me, but it also sparked a flurry of thoughts I hadn't articulated yet. "I do think about it," I admitted. "This feels different from anything I've experienced before, like we're building something special. But I haven't had the courage to voice those thoughts." "Why not?" she asked softly, her eyes still fixed on mine. I hesitated, unsure how to explain the vulnerability that came with deeper commitment, a fear that clung to my heart. "Maybe it's because this is all so new, and I don't want to screw it up. I've had relationships that ended badly and I want to protect what we have." Sophia nodded, absorbing my words. "I get that. Trust me, I've had my fair share of heartbreak, too. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't dive in headfirst and see where this takes us. We need to be open and honest if we want to build something really meaningful." Her words were a balm, soothing my insecurities. "I would love nothing more than to build something meaningful with you, Sophia." A warm smile spread across her face, and she leaned in, our foreheads nearly touching. "Then let's do just that. I want to be with you, Evelyn. All the adventures, the laughter, the quiet moments, everything. You're amazing and I want you to know that." A rush of warmth and happiness enveloped me, igniting my heart. "You are amazing, too," I said, unable to hold back my smile. "I can't believe how fortunate I am to have found you." We lingered in the moment, our connection deepening, as I felt an exhilarating sense of freedom wash over me. The hike continued, but my thoughts lingered on what we had just promised each other. Over the next few weeks, we navigated our relationship in a way that felt thoughtful and nurturing. We embraced our flaws and celebrated our quirks. Gone were the apprehensions I once held. I held her hand tightly through our next few adventures, and I felt the walls around my heart crumble. Then, one evening as we lay side by side on a blanket in my backyard, the stars twinkling like diamonds above us, I turned toward her. "Sophia," I said, trailing my fingers along her arm, "I can't help but wonder how you managed to connect with me so profoundly. It's like you've pulled at strings inside me I didn't even know existed." She chuckled softly, glancing up at the constellation-speckled sky. "I think it's because we're both open to each other. It's rare to find someone willing to be vulnerable, especially as adults." I agree, I responded, leaning onto my elbow, my hand brushing against her cheek. It's not just rare, it's beautiful. Sophia grasped my hand in hers, pressing a tender kiss on my palm. I'm grateful to have you in my life, Ev. You're not only my partner, you're also my best friend. Same here, I replied, emotion swelling in my chest. What we have is something special, and I feel it every day. As I spoke those words, something in the air shifted. An overwhelming sense of possibility hovered around us, urging us to look towards the future. There was no telling what adventures lay ahead, but I felt ready to face them, all with Sophia by my side. A moment later, I turned serious. Can I share something I've been thinking about? Always, she replied, her gaze attentive. What if we plan a bigger adventure? Like a weekend getaway or a trip somewhere we both haven't been. Sophia's eyes lit up at the idea. Oh, I love that. Where did you have in mind? Maybe the coast. I've heard the lighthouse in Crescent Bay is stunning, especially at sunset, I suggested, excitement bubbling inside. Let's go. I can pack us a nice picnic, and we can make a whole weekend out of it. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and I felt a thrill at the thought. We spent the next few days arranging our getaway, trading ideas about what to see and do, which only brought us closer. On the evening before our trip, as we sat curled up on the couch binge-watching a new show, I felt the weight of contentment resting on my heart. I glanced over at Sophia, who was totally immersed in the episode, laughter ringing out freely. How had I gotten so lucky? I leaned over, placing a soft kiss on her temple. She turned to me, her eyes sparkling with mischief. What was that for? I smiled, running my fingers through her curls. Just because, I said softly. Just because I want you to know how much you mean to me. Her expression turned softer, and she leaned in, dropping her head on my shoulder. You mean the world to me, too, Evelyn. As I wrapped my arm around her, I felt a sense of completeness that I had never anticipated. The promise of our upcoming adventure loomed ahead, a precursor to the beautiful journey we were beginning to embark on together. And as those stars twinkled cheerfully in the night sky, so did my hopes for our future spark to life. The following weekend, we embarked on our much-anticipated getaway to Crescent Bay, excitement buzzing in the air like electricity. The drive was filled with laughter, music, and the kind of effortless conversation that always flowed easily between us. Whether we were singing along to our favorite songs or exchanging stories from our childhoods, it felt as though every moment was becoming a cherished memory. As we reached the coastline, the sun hung low in the sky, painting the horizon in hues of gold and pink. Sophia pulled the car over, and we both stepped out, taking in the salty breeze and the sound of waves crashing against the shore. I could hardly contain my anticipation for the weekend ahead. Do you see that lighthouse? Sophia asked, pointing towards the towering structure overlooking the ocean. I can't wait to explore it. I beamed at her enthusiasm. Let's head there first. The sunset will be breathtaking from up there. We made our way to the lighthouse, climbing the winding staircase together. Each step felt exhilarating, the thrill of adventure fueling our ascent. As we reached the top, we stepped out onto the balcony, the panoramic view taking our breath away. The sun began to sink into the ocean, draping everything in a warm, golden light. Wow, I whispered, leaning against the railing. It's even more beautiful than I imagined. Sophia stood beside me, her gaze locked on the horizon. This is perfect, she said softly. We're here together, and life feels so good right now. I turned to face her, my heart swelling at the sight of her radiant smile. It really does. We're lucky, you know. Her eyes sparkled with mischief. Lucky enough to be facing both the sunset and a new adventure. I would say so. Just then, the vibrant sun dipped below the horizon, casting a brilliant orange and pink glow across the sky. I instinctively reached for my camera, capturing the moment but then turning the lens towards Sophia. Okay, your turn. I said, trying to coax her into being in a shot. She laughed, complying as I snapped a candid shot, her joyous laughter echoing amidst the breathtaking backdrop. Why do you always have to be so cute? I teased, setting my camera down so I could take in the sight of her. You're one to talk, she shot back, a playful glint in her eyes. As the last rays of sunlight disappeared, we descended from the lighthouse, fingers intertwined, exploring each little nook and cranny of the quaint coastal town. We sampled local seafood, shared artisanal ice cream, and took countless silly selfies along the way. Every experience felt woven with laughter, warmth, and most importantly, love. That evening, we returned to our beachside cabin. The sun had just set, the stars twinkling above, and I could hear the gentle lull of the waves crashing against the shore. We settled onto the porch with glasses of wine, watching the moonlight dance across the ocean. I'm so glad we did this, Sophia said after a long moment of comfortable silence. This weekend feels magical. I have to agree. I think it's one of the best decisions we've made together, I replied, my heart full. But I think magic doesn't just exist here. It's us, what we're building together. I genuinely feel it. Sophia turned toward me, her expression earnest. I feel it too, Evelyn. I've never been happier. In that moment, I knew what I wanted. I wanted to express how grateful I was for her, not just for this weekend, but for everything she had brought into my life. Can I tell you something? I said, my voice steady with resolve. Absolutely, she replied, a hint of curiosity sparkling in her eyes. I think I'm falling in love with you, I confessed, each word spilling from my heart like a long-held secret finally freed. Sophia's expression shifted, her surprise quickly melting into a tender smile. You have no idea how long I've wanted to hear that. Because I'm falling for you too, Ev. My heart soared, pure elation washing over me like the tide. Sophia leaned closer, and our lips met in a gentle kiss, soft and sincere. It felt like the culmination of every moment we had shared, the connection, the understanding, the vulnerability. I felt safe in that moment, knowing I had finally found someone who accepted all parts of me. As we pulled away, we remained wrapped in each other's arms, gazing out at the vast ocean and the starry sky. The night felt infinite, each twinkling star echoing the promise of our future together. We're just getting started, aren't we? I mused, gazing up at the cosmos. Definitely, Sophia agreed, her voice steady with conviction. This is just the beginning of our story, and I can't wait to see where the journey takes us. And with that, I closed my eyes, leaning into her warmth, grateful for everything that had led me to this moment, this love that felt destined. The possibilities stretched ahead of us like the endless ocean, full of adventures yet to come, and I knew that as long as I was by Sophia's side, there was nowhere in the world I'd rather be. Together we would navigate the unknown, armed with love, laughter, and an unbreakable bond. And as I held her close, my heart whispered a prayer of gratitude for the magic we had created, knowing fiercely that this was exactly where I was meant to be.